I haven't shared about this in a while, not for any other particular reason other than I've been sharing so much about relationships and love and connection. But in our workshop yesterday, I brought up a little bit about my personal experience with Huntington's disease. And someone on that workshop asked me to share my personal experience with Huntington's disease. And so that's what this video is going to be about. So if you've never heard of Huntington's disease before, it's like having ALS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's at the same time. And about 7 years ago, my dad died of Huntington's disease. I heard about it when I was 18 years old. I grew up without the support of my dad. My mom raised me by herself. My parents divorced when I was about 2 years old. And I remember not wanting to have a relationship with my father when I was a teenager. You know, it was the kind of custody situation where I would see my dad every 2 weeks and try to find ways to get out of it. Because when I would see him, he would take me to do his errands. You know, we'd do dry cleaning. I'd wait to get his car washed. Like, it wasn't like we were bonding or connecting. And so when I got old enough to choose not to see him anymore, which was in Canada about, I think it's 12 or 14, I can't remember exactly. I said, Mom, I don't want to do these visits anymore. And we worked out a situation where I didn't have to. And so it wasn't difficult for me. Like, I always wished I had a dad that was around, you know, that would pick me up from school or attend my games, you know, the stereotypical stuff. But because I think for some people who grew up never having something, you don't miss it as much. I was always actually felt worse for people whose parents divorced when they were like 10 or 8 or 13. You know, they know what it's like to have two parents around. I didn't, so I didn't really know what I was missing. So fast forward to, I'm 17 years old, and I hadn't seen my dad in about 3 years. And he was living in a different city. He came to my city. We went to go see a movie. He picked me up. Showed up late, as he usually did. And when we got there, we got out of the car and we're walking towards the movie theater, I noticed my dad was walking strange, almost like someone who was tipsy. And that creeped me out. Like, that kind of freaked me out. And then I noticed he was kind of slurring his words a little bit. And my immediate thought was, my dad's drunk, or he's on drugs or something. Like, he's must have been drinking before he picked me up. And now I'm scared and nervous and kind of disgusted, to be honest. We go watch the movie, basic small talk, get back in the car. My mom takes me home, or my dad takes me home to my mom's house. And I told my mom, I never want to see my dad again. I think he's on drugs. I said he was walking funny, he was talking funny, like, this guy's dead to me as far as I was concerned. And then she dropped this bomb on me. She said, Simon, we've known this for a little while. He is not on drugs, but he has Huntington's disease. And for any of you familiar with Huntington's disease, often people with Huntington's disease can get arrested on the streets because you look like you're drunk. Like, it very much like the movements of your body and your speech can really make you think that that person's just on drugs, but it's just a neurological disorder that they're experiencing. So that, of course, begged a bunch of questions. You know, what is Huntington's disease? You know, what's going on with him? And she told me this example that I just shared with you. And I said, what's going to happen? And she said, well, there's no cure. And basically, his abilities will just gradually decline. Eventually, he'll lose the ability to speak. He'll lose the ability to walk. He'll lose the ability to feed himself. He'll lose the ability to manage his emotions. And it just basically seemed like the worst thing ever. Just a slow, brutal death of every part of you that's connected to your brain, which is everything. And so I had this immediate empathy for my dad because, you know, as much as I despised him for not wanting to participate as a father, in the background, I wanted him to be punished. You know, I was like, I had a lot of resentment towards him, and then I find this out and realize he's going to be punished more than I could ever ask for. And all of a sudden, it wasn't so fun anymore, this idea of him being punished. It sounded horrible. And then my mom dropped this other bomb on me, which is that because my dad has Huntington's disease, there's a 50% chance that I have Huntington's disease. Because it's not like cancer or Alzheimer's where you could develop it. You're born with it based on how your DNA splits between your mom and your dad. And so it's 50-50 chance. And that scared the hell out of me. Because now I've basically been put in front of me, there's a 50% chance that I'm going to lose all of my abilities, around 40s, 50s, 60s. Really depends. And I was 17 years old at the time. I was just going to university. And luckily I was so distracted by girls and basketball that it kind of went on the back burner. But it wasn't until I moved into my third or fourth year at university and I started to picture my future. I started to picture, wanting to have a family someday and wanting to have a career that I loved. And I started to get really scared because all I could picture was how all those things would be taken from me. Eventually I would just lose my ability. And that really discouraged me. I fell into a depression around that time. That included suicidal thoughts. It was a really, really dark time for me because I really didn't see a future for myself. I thought, why bother having a wife if it's just going to be taken away from me? Why bother going to work if eventually I won't be able to? It'll be taken from me. And that consumed my thoughts for quite a while. And this is where, about the same time, I started to get coaching. Started to really lean into personal development. And I did a program about 11 years ago where I went from all these brutal feelings, this kind of despair, thinking I'm screwed. I was even worried, like when I would trip, I would think it was a symptom. If I forgot my keys, I thought it was a symptom. And so when I was going through this terrible time, I was fortunately invited by a friend to try out this personal development course. And I was like skeptical, but open at the same time because, things weren't awesome. And most people didn't know that I was dealing with this. I wasn't sharing this with anybody except for my mom. So I did this program, and in one exercise, I kid you not, in one exercise I went from completely afraid and crippled by the possibility of experiencing this disease in the future to having power over it. It's so hard to describe to you because I just suddenly realized, this might happen. But I can live a full life between now and then. I can live an incredible life, and I can actually use this as motivation to take risks in my life that I'm scared to take. It's almost like I get the experience of assuming I'm on my deathbed, but I'm not actually on my deathbed right now, so let's go big. And so that really inspired me. And I couldn't believe that this was possible. I couldn't believe that through personal development, I could have a perspective about life. That this is how it's going to be for me. And that's what most of us are walking around. This is what it's going to be for me. And then a whole new perspective emerges. This is what we mean in coaching when we talk about discovering your blind spots. This was a blind spot to me. There was no way that I saw the possibility of living a full life with the risk of this disease. And you could have told me, like, you probably have friends have told you, you shouldn't worry about it so much. What are you going to do? You just got to live your life. And you get it in concept. You get it as an idea, but you don't actually get it. You don't actually embody it. And that's why so much of relationship advice doesn't work. Because we haven't transformed who we're being. We haven't transformed how we operate, how we view the world. And how we view the world is what shows up for us. I'll do a really basic exercise with you right now. When I show you this, what do you see? Some people might see a finger. Some people might see up. Some people might see the number 1. 3 different things. I'm not doing anything different. But depending on the context that you're in, depending on the perspective that you're operating from, that will be what you see. Now I'm just holding up my hand, But consider that that context is happening throughout your life. But you don't even realize that it's happening. As far as you're concerned, it just is. Someone commented, 1. Yeah, you saw 1 because you're in the context of numbers. If you saw a finger, you're in the context of anatomy. If you saw up, you're in the context of direction. So it really is your context that determines what you see and what you don't see. And my context in that situation with Huntington's disease was despair. All I saw was despair. And you couldn't convince me of anything else. That's why the magic behind coaching is participatory. It requires you to actually get into something and to discover, not just learn, not just know. So much of us want to learn. I want to learn a new way to talk to my partner. That's great. That's a good thing. But you actually have to discover a new way. Otherwise, we just go back to our habits. We're habitual creatures. We go back to what we're used to automatically without even realizing it. And so this pattern interruption for me opened up a whole new idea for life. Someone asked, can I explain the exercise? I can't explain you the exercise. It would be pointless for me to explain it to you. You have to be in it. Just like this coaching, I'm doing these videos for you guys to inspire you to take action. If you just watch these videos and you move on, you go back to your life, that was just entertainment. That wasn't a pattern interruption. It's not bad, but it's not going to make a difference. And it really depends on you if you're out to make a real difference or not. Now, once I took that program, I became fascinated with coaching and personal development. I dove into everything. That was 11 years ago. Since that time, I've taken over 9 intensive courses. I've gone on retreats around the world. I've worked with world-class coaches around the world. I personally invested over $200,000 into my growth and development because now I'm obsessed with discovering blind spots. And after I did that experience, I now was able to talk about Huntington's disease. Before I couldn't even talk about it. Couldn't tell anybody. I started to share about it. I started to become, someone asked, how often do you do your group program? It depends. My group program is starting this Tuesday though. This Tuesday it's starting. I'm offering a discount right now. I never offer discounts. Not sure if I'm going to be offering a discount again for a while. So if you're considering coaching, you can sign up for that right now. It's going to be a game changer. Like, that program is extraordinary. You can see the results it creates for the testimonials in the pinned section of my profile. Anyways, back to the story. So I started sharing about Huntington's disease. And I was scared to share, but I also had this confidence and courage to share. I would tell people about it. I wanted to bring awareness. And before you know it, I got involved in the Huntington's disease community. I ended up later becoming a Huntington's disease youth mentor, where I mentored a teenager whose parent was also affected by Huntington's disease. I ended up working with the Huntington's Disease Association of Canada. I ended up donating my spinal fluid to be studied, and I participated in every study I could find, whether it was by taking my blood, by donating spinal fluid, by answering a questionnaire. That would not have been possible, you guys, because I was so scared. I'd already written my future. Now, I'm sharing this with you, not whether you're affected by Huntington's disease or not. Everyone's dealing with something. Everybody's dealing with something. This is more so about the idea that we have no idea what's possible. You don't know what's possible for you. And the sooner we can catch that we're pretending we know, we're walking around like we've written the script, now we can start to rewrite it. But it takes a kind of self-awareness to go, is this true? Or am I just acting like it's true? And that's what coaching's for, you guys. Coaching is to cause that pattern interruption. So I'm sharing this to give you the insight because someone asked me in the workshop yesterday about HD. I was super shocked to hear her ask that because it's only affects 1 in 10,000 people, Huntington's disease. And so I hope this makes a difference for anybody who might be connected to that particular disease or any disease that you or your family have experienced. You know, cancer's way too common. And you can just replace, HD with cancer, whatever you're dealing with. We're all dealing with something. I got in this work to help people to be empowered in any situation. Any situation. Breakup, divorce, argument, Huntington's disease, cancer, whatever it is, we have options. There is another way. But you got to be open to drawing a line in the sand. You got to be open to seeing a new perspective, to discovery. And so if you want support with that discovery, I'm here to support you. My Love or Fear program is a world-class program. We've created revisions of it. The workbooks included are meticulous. It's a self-paced program that you can experience. We've got a group program that you can experience. We've got a one-on-one program that you can experience. It is truly amazing. I know I'm biased, but I'm so proud of what we created here. So if you're curious about that, my website has the details. And again, for the first time, and I don't know when I'm going to do this again, I got a discount right now on the group and self-paced program. So if you're curious about that, send me a DM, follow the links. There's the link still available in my story, but that discount is going to end on Sunday. So I want to share this with you guys so you guys have options. There are options. There are ways that we don't even know. I'm never going to stop getting coaching myself because I'm obsessed now with discovering blind spots. I'm obsessed now with going, I think life can be this way. And then I discover a blind spot. And I go, it can be like that. I can have that kind of depth of connection with my wife. I can have that much fun raising a 10-month-old baby. Like some of the things my wife and I have experienced just in raising our son and all the tragedies that people tell us about having a baby. We haven't had those experiences. And people go, oh, wait till they're 6 months old. Wait till they're 10 months old. Wait till they're 2 years old. It's just people's limiting beliefs. Just being projected onto each other. It doesn't have to be the case. There are new options for all of us if we're open and willing to discover them. But if you're walking around fighting for your limitations, trying to prove that it's going to be this hard and this is the only way, yeah, you're stuck. That's the only way for you. You know, I had someone commented, I'm going to wrap up in just a second here, but someone commented on one of my posts recently, I think it's too late for me. And when someone says that to me, there's really nothing else to say to them. If you think it's too late for you to change or to have love, you're right. Because you've already decided for yourself. You've made the decision, it's too late for you. There's nothing I can say to change your mind. You made a decision. You know, I can't remember what the famous quote is, but it's something like, whether you think you're, whether you think you're right or you think you're wrong, you're right. No, that can't be it. Basically, if you're walking around with a perspective and you're not open to another one, that's all you're going to see. That's it. That's how it goes. So she said that, and I said, I don't buy that. I just don't. I don't. And this is part of what is my job as a coach, is when people come into my program and I'm coaching them live, my job is to interrupt the limiting beliefs. My job is to actually see what's going on there and to be this person who doesn't buy the bullshit. You know, not like your friends. When you go to your friends and you complain to them about the dating life or your partner, and they go, yeah, you're right. You're totally right. They're awful and things should change. My job is to actually listen for the bigger version of you. Listen for the version of you that you're hiding, that you're scared to be. So that's my story. That's my story. And my dad, actually, I guess let's finish with this last important piece. My dad died 6 years ago. And, you know, he did have that brutal decline. Ended up losing his ability to walk and eventually speak and all these things. And him and I got to have a great relationship in his last few years. He became actually quite an inspiring person to me. I didn't know about the character that he was because I was so filled with resentment. And we got to have love and peace and forgiveness when he passed away. The biggest thing I wanted was I wanted for him to be proud of me. All that anger that I had, all that anger we all have, is typically misguided sadness. I was sad I didn't have a dad. I was sad that I felt forgotten and left behind. And all I wanted was for him to be proud of me. And when I was able to reconnect with him, share authentically, get out of my own way, there was actually space for me to hear him when he said he was proud of me. And we shared a hug I'll never forget. And a few months later, he passed away. Now that's what's possible with coaching and personal development, is being able to have the kinds of connections that we've written off, that we think don't exist, that we think are just not for us. So this is my nudge to you guys. This is my nudge to you to take action on what matters to you. Get out of your head. Get support. Even if it's not with me, get support. Get a team around you. It's too difficult to do this stuff on our own. I still have a coach. I would consider myself a pretty highly developed person. But we're never done with this game. I want to keep elevating. This is also my video to share compassion with whatever you're going through. You're not alone. You're not alone. You know, there's no way I could have built this thing, this beautiful work, this social media, without transforming my own limitations around Huntington's disease and self-confidence, all these different things. You know, so you're not alone with what you're dealing with. Everybody's dealing with something. The question is if that thing is going to own us or not. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to. That's for sure. Sending love wherever you are with whatever you're dealing with. Talk to you later.